Hi, it's Delia. Okay, so taking things personally. This is a big thing for empath sensitive people because there's so much misdefinition and misunderstanding around awareness. So the Time Warner version of the whole deal is that there are people who are level-headed and reasonable and they are unflappable and they don't get upset about things. And so that's kind of a standard, a value. And it's confusing because when you have seniority in yourself, when you have your own sovereignty and you are the master and commander of your thoughts, emotions, and your life and your choices, then you do become unflappable and anybody can say anything and it doesn't affect you. But it's from a very different place than what it would be if you were imitating it. And there's a lot in our culture that has to do with being programmed and imitating. Everything about the way our school systems are set up, for instance, we're not trained, and we're not training people how to think as much as we're training people how to mimic or imitate and how to just perform on a test. I have a lot of teacher friends who the whole testing thing makes them crazy because that's not how you learn. You're not learning anything, you're becoming a monkey, you're imitating, you're mimicking. And this has been going on a lot longer than the past 10 years. So if you're not taught to think, but you're taught to behave, and you're taught to do as you're told, and you're taught to give this information at this time, then you don't know how you're doing what you're doing. It's like you can, like in my day, we would memorize timetables, right? 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is, I don't know. But the repetition, the theory was the repetition would teach you the thing. And that's confusing too, because repetition does teach you something. But if you don't know what you're doing it for, then you're just in mimicry. And so much of our culture is based on mimicry. And that's how we often, especially as empaths, we mimic the people that we're around so that we can be like them. And so they won't know what weirdos we are, although they do. And then we have mimicked our way into a relationship or into a job that we're not designed for and we're not built for and we don't know how to do it. And then at some point it'll blow up, right? Does this sound familiar? If not, that's great. But when you're an empath, this whole thing about mimicry, mimicking the people that we're around as a way to get us safe, to fit in. Remember, our ancient memory is, in our biological sense, is that if we get cut from the herd, we're going to die in the ice flows, right? So to be socially cut out is like it's like a death. That's why they knew to ostracize people and shun people because to get them to behave right? So if you're taking your lead about what you think and feel about things from the people around you, then you're not checking in to find out what you think and feel about anything, for one thing. And then you have sided with them on anything, everything. And then you have left yourself alone. So the pronouns get very tricky here, but I think you know what I mean. If you're siding with them, then why aren't you're not siding with you, right? So when we're navigating through mimicry, we're taking everything personally, because I know it seems counterintuitive, but do you feel safe? Do you not feel safe? Do you feel accepted? Do you not feel accepted? And it's a very elementary kind of awareness. And so when somebody says, "Who do you think you are?" you've already left you, because you don't think you're worth hanging out with. And so when somebody says to you, "Who do you think you are?" you're horrified and you're upset and you have a drama about it, never really recognizing that underneath all of that is you have agreed with them. Who do I think I am? Oh, I don't know who I am, so I'm gonna go be you. So it's when you take things personally, you have to have left you, for one thing. And to have left you that much, you have to, on some level, agree that being you is not that great a thing. And that comes from taking the projections of other people around you, especially family, and whatever they are projecting upon you, you're buying it as the truth of you. In fact, as the only truth of you. So if your family has any emotional or mental health shenanigans going on in the group, and then you're absorbing all of that because you're an empath, and when we're untrained empaths on this planet, the other way to describe that is you're a sponge. And when you're sponging everything up from everybody, you don't know who and what you are. You assume that because it's in your system, because those thoughts are in your head, or those emotions are in your body, or that pain is in your knee, the world says, well, obviously it's yours if you're thinking or feeling or, sensing that. And as a big-time healer and an empath who came here for the rollicking great time of healing the planet and healing humanity and rising up to the next level of consciousness on the planet, you've been sponging things up and naming them as yours. So for you to take things personally, you have to not only have left you, but you also have to make everybody else out to be better, more something than you. And competition, right? Competition is somebody is better than something, or somebody is better than something else. It's not just 50-50. Competition doesn't like 50-50. Competition doesn't like cooperation. And this is a very competitive organization of a world that we live in right now. So whatever you're taking personally, you have to organize yourself around that. I was working with somebody who was saying that they had been very disrespected by somebody, and they really needed to correct that somebody or let them know that they were being disrespectful. And to have their own dignity, they had to correct this other person. So feel what that feels like in your body, right? You've been disrespected by somebody, and now you have to, for your dignity, you have to go and correct them. Do you notice all those different things that are happening in your body? There's like tension, and there's like shallow breathing, and there's like sweating going on. And so when you're in that kind of a dynamic, what you're saying is that if this person over here thinks that about me, then I have to protect and defend against what they're saying. And whenever you're protecting and defending, you're in resistance. And when you're in resistance, you can't do anything else. And it's very draining for your whole system. So if you have seniority, if you have sovereignty, if you're really on your side, then they can say whatever they want to say about you. And you can be what I call this a body of glass, where the energy just comes at you and goes around you. Like a boulder in a river. The boulder doesn't stop the water flowing. The water just goes around it. So if you're really on your side, and you've had this, you've experienced this. There have been times when you have been really on your side, and it didn't matter what somebody else was saying to you. And they could be disrespectful or wrong or mean or whatever, but you knew what was true for you, and so it just didn't affect you. So when somebody is saying something and it is affecting you, you want to be kind to you, right? Because some part of you is like jumping up and hollering, hey, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I'm stuck. And so when somebody said, like if somebody says, it's another example I've had recently, the boss person